maybe certain things would have happened in Kenya. I don't know. I feel that there's a lot of family secrets that we haven't been told. And through my awakening journey, as I connect the dots from what my mum has shared with me, from what I know of my dad, why I've turned out the way I am, not that it's right or wrong, but I believe energy gets transferred down generations. And I think behaviors go down into the next generation, good behaviors as well as not so conducive behaviors. We inherit the traits, the gifts, the talents, the skills. We inherit the trauma. And that comes out in our behaviors. And through my own journey, I've intuited what my parents have been through. And I think, like, wow, my dad said to me, because my brother overheard me at that time, my first relationship, and that's another topic that can come up, is at such a young age, I got involved with an older man.
That's always the way I think of a lot of young gay men.
And I was only 17, he was 28.
Oh,
Looking back to be told that I've been groomed.
Yeah, you were. I was just about to tell you. If you didn't know, I was just about to tell you.
So I've been...
And how did you meet this man?
So as there were no...
Because she hates him for you.
Yeah. As there were no mobile phones in those days, there was a newspaper called Eastern Eye, which was an Asian publication. And there were like box ads at the back. And I thought, oh, men for men.
You're so innocent. Oh, bless you.
And I thought I was going to like fall in love. I mean, this is how innocent I was. I went to Piccadilly Circus, one of my first journeys traveling alone on the tube and the bus. I met a Brazilian rent boy thinking he could be my boyfriend.
Oh, bless you.
So I had to be...
How did that go? As a conversation, because obviously he's thinking he's getting paid.
Yeah, well, I just sat there thinking, where the hell have I come? Because I didn't know what... Because I definitely wasn't going to come in another way.
Yeah.
And...
When did you clock? Sugar. Was the Brazilian quite open about, sir?
Well, I had to sit in a room where something was playing on a screen and he started doing something and I started feeling really like, oh... And he saw I was really uncomfortable. And he says, give me £20 and get out.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. What can you do? This is what I do in my comedy slots. If you like...
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah.
I am so sorry, but
you have to laugh, otherwise you bloody cry.
Like, I know that's not funny.
I have cried in treatment.
Oh, see, now I feel bad for laughing.
So now I can laugh.
Fully.
Because
I get that.
I've been through that 10 months rehab treatment and been through my whole life. Like, I've written my life story out. So this is why I can talk about these things.
Yes.
And I guess the biggest difference between now and then is open dialogue. For instance, as a young girl, when I liked a boy, I talked to my friends about it. I had conversations with my girlfriends. Oh, girls, what do you think? Or even my one gay friend, whoever. We had conversations.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing. That's a piece that was missing then. I don't think it's missing for young gay kids now, because they would talk to their girlfriends, they would talk to their guy friends, but they would be able to have the dialogue. They wouldn't need to necessarily seek. It'd be a little bit more accessible in terms of conversations.
Yes, and in those days there was no conversation. So, but the funny thing is, I was full of conversation. I wanted to communicate. So I would meet men who were guilty about their sexuality. They're meeting a young 17-year-old who doesn't give a shit about his sexuality.
Completely.
And Asian. And I'm taking their shit. So I ended up being a counselor for a lot of these men. First relationship, I was 17, he was 28. And that's where I'll come back to the home situation, how my sexuality was found out.
Okay.
So we used to share rooms in those days.
You and your sibling?
So me and my sibling. And we had landlines. So the phone was in my room and I thought my brother was asleep. And I said, I love you to my partner. And my brother heard it. And so it was like, who are you saying I love you to? And I didn't hide it. I told them. And at that time, my family knew that that gentleman was a friend of mine. They may have been wondering what I was doing hanging around with an older man. And I think that escalated in a lot of anger in my brother, because I think my brother was very perceptive. My brother's very sensitive as well, like me.
Why did you get angry?
Because he called him up that night and says, you fucked up my brother.
Because
so maybe he could see, maybe he could see what was going on. Maybe it's not the gay thing that he had an issue about. It was the power imbalance.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it at that time.
Your brother's quite protective of you.
Interesting.
Your brother's very protective of you.
I think he is,
Yeah.
but he hasn't been able
Yeah.
to maybe talk about it.
Fair enough.
And so I think from a young age, the relationship between me and my brother, when I spoke about the loving relationship when he was young, a toddler, and how I played with him, I think somehow in the upbringing, through my dynamics with mum and dad, my mum did a lot for us. My mum was like a mother and a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
So she was very proactive, and she was like a mentor for my father as well.
Mm-hmm.
My father's got his limitations, and I understand now he's on the spectrum, although he's not diagnosed. I've had to get my diagnosis to understand that there is neurodiversity in our family. And that's another thing, the shame in our communities to talk about this. Mental health, neurodiversity, sexuality, and spirituality, as opposed to religion. All of these things, I have literally broken all boxes. And I think it's great for my own development because I don't give a damn about what people think about me anymore. I did before because that's how I was conditioned.
Of course.
But the abuse that also came from being in relationships with these older men. I was even involved with an imam. So
wow, am I surprised? No.
Yeah,
and I say that in the
because
sense of
it
the
happens
religion,
in
because I'm
religions.
saying wow, and then you
Yeah.
think of priests in Catholic places,
Yes.
and pedophiles, and you know,
Yep.
so yeah.
And
so
I've-
you're navigating joining Islam. Are you still Muslim at that point?
Yes, I was formerly Muslim until the age of, I think I started to let go of labels at the age of 35 when I had my spiritual awakening.
Okay.
But I still recognize the paths as spiritual lineages as opposed to religions.
Can I ask you a question? Because with all due respect, I'm asking this in the
That's
most
fine.
respectful way.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something in you innately that these men are seeing in terms of something, I don't know, because it's said that a lot of people who groom and abuse, there's something they hone in on an individual, whether it be the fact that you're empathetic,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
they see something
Good
Yeah.
point, Lou.
and they latch.
Yeah.
He used to get a lot of comfort from me.
Okay.
So the imam and the first guy. I remember he's the one that introduced me to Bollywood older songs, and because he used to listen to the songs from the 70s and 60s and even 80s.
So all these Asian men as well.
This was Pakistani.
Interesting.
And I thought, okay, for me it was like, oh, somebody from a similar culture.
Were they repressed?
They didn't show their sexuality to their family. They had kept it secret.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I went to visit him at his he used to live in Kent. So when I used to visit him from university, if we were on the high street, I had to walk on the opposite side of the street so that his mum or sister or brother wouldn't see us together.
So you couldn't even be friends.
Friends, exactly. So you
No.
weren't allowed to have a
No.
male.
Oh, he's doing a bit much. That's serious repression.
So it's serious repression, and
How did that make you feel?
it made me feel like I had to be hidden. It made me feel like very distant, like thrown away. I'm an embarrassment. But I was also very content in myself from a very young age. I remember sitting in the car with him and he says, "What's wrong with you? Why are you so quiet?" I said, "Because I'm here to enjoy your company." And I used to want to hold his hand. But he used to like have a go at me because I didn't strike a conversation. But could he not?
I was just going to say he could have.
I wonder what that's about.
That's
Do you know
mad.
what? One thing I've realised growing over is there are two types of people. Some people, silence makes them extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And others
Yeah.
find peace in it.
Yeah.
So I think I've always been at peace with silence, but
same.
I've been rubbed up another way to perform for other people.
Clearly.
And what's happened over a
You used to do that as
lifetime?
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Mm.
Totally.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You just, when you see you're doing stuff and you're performative.
Yeah. And it's exhausting. It is so
Imagine.
exhausting.
It's essentially a form of masking.
Yes.
Of course, I've
Thames,
masked my whole
what
life.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
So that's why I'm so good at acting.
But when the mask slips, it can
Yes.
be an explosion.
Oh, it is. I've had I mean, I think my masks started to slip during my sort of, I think during COVID, or like when my spiritual awakening happened after my HIV diagnosis. I think that's
oh my
when.
days. Wait, there's that part as well to unpack.
So, and who gave you that?
Oh, that's another thing. So there's a story to all of this. So fast forwarding, I've been through quite a few relationships, almost back to back with men who were ashamed of their sexuality. They were the first, actually, all of them were probably, Pakistani Muslim men. The first three, and they were all ashamed of their sexuality. Yet I could see that they loved me very much, but they could not show their full self. Now the imam ended up being married with kid. He hid that from me. He lied to me about his age. So I was 22. He told me he was 28. He was actually 35.
I wonder why he felt the need to lie. Because it's still two consenting adults.
No, of course.
Do
That's
you know what I mean?
That's
So
a fair
why did he
point,
feel the need
Hems,
to lie?
Yeah. But he nicknamed me, because in that culture, they're very known for having their little boys.
I've heard.
See what I'm saying?
So he nicknamed me Youth.
Oh my
So
days.
you had a thing for...
Yeah, you go for
younger.
younger people.
And he was going with me, taking me. So he was in Birmingham. And I used to go and visit him every now and again. And I was wondering, why are we sleeping in basements of mosques? And why do I have to hire a hotel room? Or he didn't have a place to accommodate me. And I was wondering, why can't you take me to your own house?
He's got a wife
And I
and
realized because there was a wife afterwards. But at the same time, he's the one that got me into addiction, because I look back and he got me to go to Soho and get something called poppers. So he taught me how to sniff poppers, which is something that gives you a bit of a high for a few minutes. I'd never used any substance in my life. Didn't drink. And I look back and at the age of 22, 23.
You're addicted to poppers.
Do you know what's frustrating as well with that particular situation? I can't speak for the others, but obviously the one you said there, is he had so many issues.
Yeah.
Like he went through, he knew he was gay.
Yeah.
Shared it probably with nobody growing up. Dealt with that trauma. Then again, and it's passing trauma on, because now you've married somebody. You've had children. And you're still repressed. So aside from you, he's now pushing that trauma on the wife.
Absolutely.
He will always know something's not 100% fair.
Absolutely.
And the children.
Yes.
And then on top of that, he's pushed trauma on you.
Yeah, he had a very angry disposition. He used to lose his temper
There you go.
very easily.
Of course.
And his wife was from Pakistan. So, I'll marry someone from Pakistan who's probably more simpler in her thinking.
And more docile.
And he told me he was sent to Pakistan at the age of 9 to train as an imam. So God knows what happens in those schools.
He was touched.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So I've spoken to a few people who I know as imams, and they've told me that when they've been to India or Pakistan to train as imams, they have been literally sexually abused
I will
and beaten.
never understand. Like I said, I think it's fine to be gay. I actually even think if you have feelings towards children, I'm not saying it's okay, but those are your feelings. But to force any of your feelings
onto somebody else,
onto someone else, is where the mistakes are made.
Yes.
And for me, that is, how can you make peace with that? How do you do that over and over and over? How do you force yourself on somebody else
all the time?
Consistently
over your
knowing you're damaging people as well.
So I had that pressure put on me at a very young age. So without going into detail, I was pressured to perform sexually in a certain way that was very painful. And
you weren't empowered to be able to say, I don't like that, please don't.
No, and I did, and they kind of said, "Oh, so you'll get used to it." So that was the kind of behavior, like, "Oh, it's okay, you'll get used to it."
Horrible, man.
So the lack of care for you or the person that I've never understood that. Even to the Bill Cosby thing, a lot of those women that went to see him were going to have sex with him anyway, but he took the power a step further by drugging them. They were going to do it anyway
because of who this is the power.
What is the additional power about? Or is it taking it away from somebody else?
Completely. I know, right? For
is it about gaining more, or is it about taking from others? I don't know.
I think I'm not a psychologist, but I would imagine a bit of
both.
Maybe.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think
exactly.
You'll
I would say a
take
bit of both.
from the other because you're just, there's a younger guy there who's probably you're attracted to, and you want to get what you need from him physically.
But irrespective of the fact that they are
And
not enjoying it. Like for me,
yeah, that's
where I'm like,
yeah, and I don't like, and that's happened to me in, because you mentioned drugs just now. My brain is actually trying to understand my experience with when I finally went into drugs, because when shit hit the fan, when I felt. So you asked me, how do you know how you got HIV?
Yes.
I don't know who I've got it from, because what happened is I was so traumatized by those back-to-back relationships from the age of 17 to 29, trying to find someone who I could be having a companionship with, who I'm not a sexual commodity for, and who I can have a relationship, who I can settle down with.
Yeah.
But they were all very guilty. Oh, I found out obviously why the imam couldn't ever be with me in a relationship, because he was married. So that ended. The first one was when I was 17 to 19. That was obviously a transition into my own discovery of sexuality. And he saw I was growing, and then I ended it. He found it very hard to let go of me. And he actually met me when I was 35. And I'd been with him when I was 19. He contacted me when I was 35. And he said he needs to meet me. And he met me and he says, I'm still not over you.
Wow.
I'm having psychotherapy because I'm not over you.
Do you think it's something to do with the fact that you were
so empathetic towards him,
but also
and
that
comfort?
Not even just that. You know, when you meet somebody who is so sure of who they are, and so
that's true.
At peace with who they are.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and he wasn't at peace, so it was almost a comfort for him. Absolutely, that he got
and on top of that was very giving.
Yeah.
In that nature.
Yeah, you were. By the sounds of it, because like you said, you didn't like silence. It's like, well, why don't you talk? But actually, I just want to sit here and be with you, hold your hand. But
basically, he got a lot from you, but also there's probably admiration there as well.
And he used to write poems to me, so he did love me. I used to write poems to him, and because I taught myself Urdu, like as I said before, I was using those languages in a nice literary way, like playing around with my writing skills and poetry and the romanticism and all that. And so there were nice times in that relationship, but looking back, I now wouldn't want to involve a 17-year-old in a relationship, because I know that I know that 17-year-old's got to go through growth himself. He's got to experience life. He's got to be with people his own age. He's got to, accept his emotional and mental growth. He's going to have emotions that are coming up. I think
everything you're saying is he, not me. And a lot of people can't do that.
No. And he met me that time when I was 35, and he was not nice to me. Oh, I heard you got HIV. How could you do that to yourself?
Oh my days.
How could you do that to yourself? And yet he's telling me that he's going to gay clubs, getting himself into certain situations in gay clubs, ranting and raving about his behavior there. And he's trying to reprimand me for having HIV.
Wait, how old is he now?
He was 28 when I was 17.
Okay.
11 years
older. He's also
older.
quite ignorant about HIV as well.
Yeah.
Like, in fairness, he's quite ignorant about it, because that's really outdated.
His own insecurities came up.
Yeah, that's really outdated thinking as well.
Yeah. So that all happened. So those relationships were quite, traumatic. And I think the last one was in Syria, actually. I lived in Syria before the war for 8 months, and he was a really lovely guy. And unfortunately, I went there I did a degree in Arabic. So I spent 9 months in an Arabic speaking country to practice the language. So I killed two birds with one stone. I thought, I can be with him.
And how did you meet him?
I met him on a really nice website. It was a tourist website, actually, where people share postcards of their countries.
Okay.
And I'd never...
Sweet idea.
2006 that was. And I never heard of a country called Syria before. And I thought, this is an interesting land. I've never heard of this country. And he says, you should come and visit. So I went for 2 weeks and I stayed with his family. And he treated me so well. And I think he really liked me. And
was he outwardly gay or?
No. But he was that was because of safety reasons, I think.
That's what I'm saying. In that country, of course not.
But he treated me so well, and I saw a behavior that I hadn't seen from the others. So we were trying to have a dialogue on how to work this out long term. And in those days, it was MSN Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, let's see how this goes. Long story short, I was meant to do a civil partnership with him. So I'd collected all our sort of posts, our cards. When I did spend 9 months there, we had a little bit of, relationship problem dynamics going on. And I think he wasn't very open. So that's when I saw his early experience of sexuality. So I think I'd become more advanced in my sexuality. He was early days. It was his first relationship. I went back to England thinking, oh my God, what if I call him here and it doesn't work out? He's left his country. And so it was all that. But I look back and I think if he was around today, I would not even think twice about it, because he's ended up telling his family and his family are okay about it. But he is in Syria now and there's been a war. I don't know how he is. He's in military service. Time goes on.
Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda.
And, I felt my heart flutter a little bit there.
Bless you.
Thing is, but
Bless
you can't
you, yeah.
live too much in the regret of.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You did what
I'm
you
very,
felt
of course.
was
I'm
right.
very, very lucky to have had that time with him.
Exactly.
There you
And
go.
we taught each other so much.
Exactly. You probably made him live his truth a lot sooner than he.
I mean,
probably
he
ever
did
would.
say to me, I visited him in 2009 very briefly, and I met his new boyfriend, and that was quite an experience for me to see that in front of my face.
Yes.
And he said to me over dinner, we met separately from, away from his boyfriend, and he said, you're the one that's taught me to love.
Wow.
He said, you taught me how to love.
Wow.
And he said, my love for you is changing into a different way now. So, and that would
have brought me a little bit of peace, though.
That did bring me peace.
Yeah, totally. Like you,
Yeah.
that was such a beautiful thing. Do you know what I mean? To be told.
Yeah.
You taught me how to love. Like that's big.
It's big.
And I think I was able to look after him. So I think the trauma that I've been through in my sexuality has given me trauma and has given me darkness, has given me a lot of that, but it's also taught me a lot. I've learned many skills from those relationships.
Yeah.
I've known how to be in a relationship, which I've always been from a young age. And I think maybe if that's something to do with my autism, I don't know, my high functioning awareness. I know what it's also like to be mistreated and treated in a bad way, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. And I think we've all had it from being brought up from parents who have experienced their own things.
Traumas, yeah.
I've gained an empathy, or I've had an empathy, and I'm very compassionate. But what I haven't known is boundaries, assertiveness, not be scared to bring conflict to the surface, and not be scared to bring controversial subjects to be spoken about, which is why I'm here. Because
I commend you, mate. Like seriously,
Mm.
I don't think a lot of people again would speak their truth, be in their truth, share their truth, and I think that's very powerful. And whoever's going to be listening to a young Asian boy going through something, or any boy, but I say that specifically because, of course, culturally, the things that go on, people experience. So I think it's your story. It's good that you're sharing your story and telling your truth.
And there will be a book written at some point.
Oh.
So I'm discovering my gifts now. So after I've been through all of that, after I've been fast forwarding to the HIV diagnosis, what happened is there was one gentleman who I was trying to date, and he was in the Middle East, and I used to be into my Arab men. So that was my sort of...
That was your thing.
That was my thing at that time. So I've literally, Lisa Stansfield sings that song, been around the world. And I've literally been around the whole of the Middle East trying to find my Arab prince. But I've only encountered certain behaviors.
But the thing is, they're repressed.
They're really repressed.
Yeah.
And
gosh, imagine.
But they couldn't believe what came in front of them when I visited them, because I think I was so transparent being myself.
Yes.
But what I have learned now is I was looking in the wrong places, because I need to find someone or come across someone who's on a similar wavelength of thinking and not scared of showing themselves.
Absolutely.
So that gentleman was the reason for why I went on this journey of recovery. So after I went through those relationships, I was very wounded. And what I realized is I was trying to seek the father figure from older men. because of my upbringing, where my mum played a major role in our upbringing and decision making, and my dad was in the background. So that's got its own sort of, processing and accepting, which is now showing that the relationship between me and my dad is mending. When my mum is not here anymore.
Yeah.
So in a way, my mum was the to and fro between me and mum prevented a lot of other relationships forming, including relationship with my brother, relationship with my father.
And that's not necessarily, and we're not slagging mum off here.
No, we're not.
We're just saying she was your anchor.
Yeah.
She was my anchor.
She was your
and
best
I was
friend.
her anchor
Yeah.
as well. And I think we bounced off each other, but it became a codependent relationship,
For
which was
one
very
another.
suffocating.
Mm.
And I can say that I am able to grieve, but also feel a relief at the same time. And to be able to hold that and say that now, I wouldn't have been able to say this a year ago because I was in deep grief. I've come a long way, I think, and it's okay to give myself that pat on,
I love
on
that.
the shoulder.
You do that. Give yourself those flowers. Self-acknowledgement is such a big deal, and a lot of us don't do it. And it's not in a boastful way. No, it's when you realize, damn, this is how far. When you think about yourself in all these different phases of life,
Yes,
and you get to a point, and it's like, yo,
I ain't gonna lie, I don't have a problem.
I love you,
I don't have problems.
Well, you're blessed,
I don't have a problem. I mean, I forget certain things.
Yeah.
And someone will be like, but you did this. And I'm like, oh, snap, yes, I did.
Yeah.
But overall, I'll be like, listen, I'm a good mother. I'm a good wife. I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. I'm really good at doing that.
Can I say something? I was coming from this perspective of traumas.
Okay.
That's the angle.
No, but this is why I'm
from.
saying it, because I have trauma from my own.
That's what
being
I mean.
Raised.
Yes.
And I very much clearly.
So I get you,
I feel
when you link the
really
two, mother.
confident saying I'm a brilliant mum.
I get you now, babes. Yeah.
A lot of my parenting decisions have been made through my own trauma.
Yeah.
Yes.
And recognizing them and going, I'm not doing that. And some of these I recognized at 11.
Yes.
Like, imagine being that young at 15 going, I'm not doing that to my kids.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. At 15 going, I'm not doing that to my
and
kids.
you know that I'm not doing
Even
that.
something as silly as I remember just being in Tottenham. And that big Sainsbury's, I don't know if it's still a Sainsbury's anymore. There's a huge...
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it was cold. It was like -2 and it was cold and we were carrying bags and we all had to carry bags because obviously there's 5 of us. It's a lot of food.
Yeah.
And I was probably about 6 or 7 and it's cutting through my hand, the bags. And even in that moment, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a car when I have kids. Like little things like that. You're like, I'm going to, because I don't want my kids to feel this pain and this cold.
Isn't it? The little things you think of. And I tell you what, I don't even think my brain, I actually say this, I think I stopped. It goes back. It's when you can vividly, I remember a few things from ages of 5, 6. And then I think some of my traumas, I actually just locked it all away. It's like, you can stay in that box. We don't talk about you.
To keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
To be able to function. But what I feel is if we lock our traumas away.
Oh no, now I face them. That's the whole point. Therapy has helped.
They will come out in another way through relationships, through our own mental health. And as you're saying, therapy is something which has been a godsend, and it's something which I didn't have and I didn't know about. And it's funny because the degree I did was psychology. And when I studied psychology, after getting those A-level results, I went through clearing. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I thought, psychology would be a good basic degree to have anyway. And I thought I was going to learn counselling skills, but it was nothing like that. But the counselling skills is now what I want to go into and continue because of what I've been through on my journey, the abuse, the abandonment, the rejection, the other people's projections on me, the mental health, understanding neurodiversity, understanding sort of ADHD, autism, and how they are also related to trauma, because there's a big overlap between trauma, neurodiversity, and mental health. And I think I've always felt a certain type of depression since I was a child, and I've had minimal sleep. And that's where I'm able to understand my high functioning autism. Our dopamine levels are naturally a bit lower. And so when trauma happens or when addiction happens, those regulatory levels get disturbed a lot more. And I think what happened is every time I got faced with a bit of abuse, or when the imam was angry with me, or I remember I went in my room because that was like, how could my brain compute that a person of the cloth, because I thought he was going to be a really nice, loving person, But a person of the cloth can get so angry. I just couldn't compute it. I had lost all faith in people of religion. And I thought, wow, because I've always looked at it as a spiritual way of being.
Yeah.
I went in my room and cut myself with my keys because I didn't know where to put that anger or frustration or upset. My mum took away my bedroom keys. And that's the only time I've harmed myself. But I have felt like I'd be the comforter. I'd be the one that's been made to think I've caused the issue, the problem, either by my parents, by those previous men, by even friends. So I've had friends who have, now I've realized they were not really friends. They were takers. They were people who used me for my niceness. But when I wanted something back in a relationship, were not ready to be there or give it to me.
Yeah.
And so over that time, what's happened is my dopamine levels, I guess I've gone to that point where nothing else can happen. Enough is enough. The HIV diagnosis, the abuse before that, the parent stuff from since I was young, not having the support for HIV from family. That's when, and then the stuff with Muhammad was the name of the gentleman who I really liked. That was the last straw. That's when I went crazy. That's when I went sleeping around. I started visiting gay saunas. That's when the phones were here. I started going on Grindr, and that's when the drugs came in.
Yeah, the spiral.
And you were what age? Around what age?
35.
Right. And was this around the time you got diagnosed, or had you already been
That was
diagnosed?
around the time I got diagnosed, but it was also around the time that I wanted to find myself and I had my spiritual awakening. So all these happened at the same time.
Gosh.
So tell me, what was it like getting that diagnosis? Because you've been so open in it. We've walked in here, and whilst we were talking, we had some of the engineers here, and you said it so freely. So were you always like that, or have you had a full circle moment?
I think I am someone who didn't know how to speak, didn't have confidence, had low self-esteem, and was very scared to put my hand up in class. Because I had a fear, I had an anxiety, I'm going to say the wrong thing, or people are going to get angry. And to a certain extent, that has happened until very recently. And it's only in the last 6 months that I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Wow. So what was your question again?
How was it with the diagnosis? How was that finding out?
Diagnosis
what made you even get checked?
Was a shock. So I got 2013, I remember I started feeling very unwell, and it was like a flu feeling. And so my joints were hurting. I felt exhausted all the time. No matter how much I slept, I was exhausted. I had this weird type of sore throat and a very light cough. And it wouldn't go away. So I did have a sexual health check every 6 months as a gay man. So February, I had a health check and it came out clear, but something inside me was saying, have another one. So I waited a few weeks and I had another one. And yeah, I remember I was in Brixton that day buying a laptop, and they rang me on a Friday afternoon. I said, oh, Mr. Shah, can you come to the clinic now? I said, no, I'm buying a laptop. Like, I can't come right now. I'll come on Monday. Like, thought nothing of it. And I just thought, okay, maybe I've got some STI and they want to give me some medicine for it. So I went on Monday and they said, yeah, Mr. Shah, your results have come through for your blood test and you've come up positive for HIV. And I just remember, like, you what? I had never imagined myself ever having something like that. I wasn't even educated about HIV.
And you felt probably thinking the worst.
Of course.
The only thing I knew is my aunt died of AIDS in Kenya in 1990.
My uncle, I had 2 uncles pass of AIDS.
So you're immediately thinking about the negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of a sudden that came to mind because there was no medication in those days. My aunt was given a blood transfusion for anemia and the blood was infected. So I remember when I was 11.
My uncles were tarts.
Your uncles?
My uncles were tarts.
Oh, they were tarts. Okay.
They slept around.
Yeah. And it took me back to all of that. Like, oh my God, am I going to die? The medications, are they going to give me side effects? I was so scared about the side effects. I didn't take medication for nearly a year.
Oh my days. You were that scared of it?
I was scared.
But had they pre-warned you that X would happen, or were you just
Was that in your head?
Inflaming this in your head?
about the medication.
About the side effects and the
I
medical
think
effects.
because people were still living with old information, with what the old meds used to do. I think there was still so much stigma in the gay community as well. There was a lot of
Is that no
judgment.
longer the case? Just I don't know, but is that no longer
Now
the
it's a lot better.
Yeah.
I think there's something called PrEP now that's come out. Have you heard of PrEP?
Is that what you take if you think you might have it? And
so there's PEP and PrEP, and I can't remember which way around it is. So one of them is taken if you know you've had unprotected sex with someone with HIV who is not undetectable, so they can pass it on to you. Within 72 hours, you can go to the hospital or doctors and get PEP.
That's quite a difficult drug to deal with, isn't it? It's quite violent in the body.
I think so, because it kills whatever's in there.
Mm.
And the PrEP is the one now where people can be on it if they don't have HIV, but if they know they're going to be sleeping around, they take PrEP so they can't get HIV. So it's almost as if they're taking the HIV medication, but at a lower level. But they still come with side effects. Any medication has a side effect, and I'm a kind of person that doesn't even take paracetamol because I'm into all my supplements and superfoods. So when I was told I have to take medication, I was like, damn, for the rest of my life. But out came the NutriBullet. I went and bought a NutriBullet. I started blitzing the lemon rind, garlic, ginger. That's when all the research came with superfoods. And I was on a course at that time with the College of Naturopathic Medicine. I started a course with them. So luckily enough, I'd learned enough with them. To know what I could eat and drink that would be good for my immune system. So apparently people said, oh my God, you look really well. And I hadn't even started the medication.
Take the medication.
But unfortunately, what happened is the grinder meets happened at that time when the apps came out. And because I was so traumatized, I was like, fuck it button came where I'm never going to meet a man. That's why I became promiscuous. And I had an inclination to kind of guess who may have given it to me, but those 2 or 3 people blocked me.
It's difficult to,
So I can't pinpoint exactly who it was. And so one day I was at some guy's house and there was a plate of lines of a drug. And he was like, do you want to try? I said, no, I don't use drugs. I can't take that. And I was a little bit horrified, but then I went to his house the second time and I think I was so depressed. I was so isolated. I was so like, no one cares about me. I might as well try. And that's when the methadone came in. Methadone is also known as MCAT or meow meow. And I think it was a type of some animal feed or plant feed. It was plant feed.
Okay.
Is it an upper? Is it a downer?
It's an upper. It's a stimulant.
Okay.
Right.
And you literally take it and oh my God, it makes you feel amazing. Like it makes you feel like let's get in bed now.
Oh wow.
Like it is I don't know if you've heard of chemsex. So chemsex is when people use drugs
for chemical sex.
Chemical sex.
Oh, right.
So they use it for the intimate environment.
Yeah.
So it's very high in the gay community. And the drugs at that time, 2014 and 15, were methadone and GHB.
Right.
Have you heard of GHB? So those were the two that were used together.
Yep.
Yeah. But then methadone turned into crystal meth.
Right.
And when crystal meth came around, oh my God. Yeah. The feeling I would get.
You do not look like a meth head.
Well, I don't think I was a meth head.
I was going to say, you do not give. I've seen what.
Yeah.
You do not give.
So.
But I guess this is why you've been in rehab.
I always thought crystal meth was more of a US problem. Like it's really.
So it's increasing here, but it's not being addressed.
Okay.
It's very underground. And oh my God, come to South London and you've got drugs everywhere. Like there's the next door neighbor to my family home, they're producing drugs. I've called the police 3 times.
And nothing.
They're just letting them get away with it.
Wow.
And the fact is they now know that I know and they're hassling me when I'm in the house. They're banging on the doors. They're trying to provoke me.
Yeah. Intimidating.
And it's very intimidating. Yeah. It's very annoying.
It's triggering as well.
It's very triggering. It doesn't trigger me as much now because I think I've come on my journey to the point where I've grown a lot. And I'm not saying that possibility is not there to lapse. That could happen at any time. But I've been clean over 2 years now, and
Well done.
I want to keep it that way
course.
if it can be.
And you will.
Yes.
And I just think that it was a cry for help. So it was my way of saying fuck you to the home environment when things would kick off at home. It was my way of saying fuck you to all the guys who just want me for sex and don't want me as a personality, as an emotional being with a spiritual connection. That's really important for me. And it was just saying fuck you to loads of things that I probably got tired of in my whole life. And I think that's where the pressure cooker lid just blew off.
Yeah.
And so that ended up a cycle of every 2 to 3 months, I would go out there on Grindr and I would spend 24 to 48 hours on a binge.
Wow.
And I would be just...
Is this even post after you'd found out you were HIV? Or did that ground
It
you
was
a little
after.
It's after.
And so the funny thing is I would still use drugs, but because the medication came around a year later, so I decided I wanted to go on the medication. And then I started, wow, I've looked really good all of a sudden. Like, oh my God, where's all this energy come from? And then my libido went woof.
You're like,
And then that's when all the other stuff started. And I did have the awareness within me that this is not good for my body.
weren't ready.
Ameet, cut down, because when I first tried it, I felt like doing it every weekend. But I knew my body wasn't responding to it nicely. He said, all right, you need to reduce this. I reduced it to once a month.
Right.
So I gave myself that allowance for once a month to go out and use and just have fun because of the stress I was going through life. And I was probably called a nervous person or a stressed person. My mum used to always send me messages when I used to work on the Underground. I used to work for London Underground. And I think my mum realised I was really down. And she used to try to encourage me to be positive but yet they wouldn't listen to me or hear me about my life. So they
Interesting, isn't
they-
it? Like,
I don't think they had the tools. Maybe they didn't. I don't think they did it on purpose, but the support I needed from my parents was not there. So I felt lonely. And I wanted to get that comfort from physical intimacy.
Yeah.
And I got that from quick gratification in a drugged environment.
What was your full
not
circle
surprised.
moment? What was your full circle moment?
Yeah.
What made you say now?
yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fast forwarding all these years, that pattern stayed. Every few months I'd go and engage. When COVID came, I think I was getting to a point where I was getting help, and I wasn't using very often. But COVID came, lockdown started happening, and I started using again. And I think from what I've found in the recovery environments and rehab, I think a lot of addictions came up in the pandemic. I think a lot of people who may have previously used drugs, their drug use came back or it increased. But also people who didn't have addictions, I think certain addictions came up during COVID because we were all restricted in so many ways. But the funny paradox about restriction is it's also a really good environment to awaken spiritually because all of the trauma comes up in restriction. But the moment you're asking about is when I can't do this anymore. And I say this often to people that my mum was my first drug. So my mum was taken away from me. And that's what got me to rock bottom. Wow. So my mum was very caring about me. I think she knew my needs. My mum was told that my brain functions in a different way by my cousin's wife, who is a clinical psychologist.
Okay.
So when I was a little boy, my cousin's wife played a lot with me and she took me out on outings and she spoke to my mum about it and she said, I think your son's got... And in the 80s, it was very rarely spoken about. So I think I've survived my whole life coping with autism in the mainstream systems, not being supported. Number one, by my family, but by needs at school. But because of my high functioning masking trait, which acts as a gift in one way, it's also a hindrance. It exhausts you.
Tiring.
So eventually it got to the point where my mum was looking after me most of my life. And that's why I stayed at home with my parents, because there was something in me thinking, how am I going to, I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have anything. I'm really depressed. I need my parents. But at the same time, my parents weren't giving me what I needed. But I was getting the best out of what I could receive from them.
I was just going to say that.
So love was there, but there wasn't the dynamic of support. There
that you
wasn't
needed,
that
that
I
you
needed.
required.
It
Yeah.
sounds like the emotional intelligence was, I don't want to say withheld, but just missing.
Yeah, it was missing, and
Yeah,
I think
I
I
agree
had
with
it.
that.
I was giving to them,
Yeah, but they weren't giving it to
and
you.
they weren't giving
But
to
does it
me.
sound like they could?
But that's what I'm realizing now, that they couldn't do it. They didn't have the know-how to do it.
Yeah.
And I think when the yoga and the Kundalini yoga came and the healing came, I'm a healer, you know, I do energy healing, and I started I realized I've got a skill, I've got a gift. And I tried to make a career of it. I tried to get clients, blah, blah, blah. But because of my mental health and because all this had happened in my life, the universe wasn't delivering it to me. And it wasn't delivering it to me also because I was in addiction.
You weren't ready.
I wasn't ready.
That's it.
And in COVID, my mum got ill. So she had the third vaccine and got very ill. And this is another taboo and stigma subject. I'm sorry to say that a lot of people are not talking about the outrolling of certain medications that have come out on humanity and how people had to feel they had to take it. It was a lot of pressure. Now, I'm the only one in my family who hasn't had the vaccine. Now, I'm not scared about talking about it, and I respect everyone to have their own decisions made. But what happened in my family was that my mum knew that I didn't want to have it, and I was sharing certain bits of information from even doctors who were speaking out at that time. And I had a job in King's College Hospital at that time as an HIV patient rep. So I had a job, and I just noticed certain propaganda going around. I thought, this isn't right. What is this? This is like business. This is like money making. And so I started sharing lots of information, and I was just really scared that I've got a sixth sense, and I was just scared that my parents are going to have it and one of them is going to get sick and it's not going to be good. So I remember my mum knocking on my bedroom door one day. Ameet, we're just going out. And I was like, where are you going? You're not going out anywhere. We're just going to the doctor's surgery. I know you're laughing because of the impression.
Of course,
We're-
yeah.
yeah.
The impression, I know, right?
So I was trying to be, I'm like,
We're going to the doctor to have the vaccine, and something in my heart something in here just dropped. Like my heart just dropped and my stomach just felt something, and I just had this sixth sense. Anyway, over time, what happened is my mum lost a lot of weight in 2022, and the whole hospital thing happened where we took her to A&E, and 6 times we went to A&E and we were sent away. And her weight was just decreasing and decreasing and decreasing, and she ended up only being like 39 point something kilos in weight. She was like a stick. She was like a stick. And I was like,
Well, all this time they're not saying there's nothing wrong with it.
yeah, like, go home, it's all in your head.
Hmm?
I remember the last A&E appointment we went to, there was an Egyptian doctor, and what I also realized is like, what's going on here? They're getting all these doctors from abroad to come in and like, because there was a lot of immigration of doctors from Egypt coming in and doctors from other countries coming in. And so the last thing he said to my mum was, oh, in our cultures, we go and have herbs and we have nice and relax and have a cup of tea. And this woman's losing weight.
And you're telling me to go and have a cup of tea?
She can't eat her
39
food.
kilos is crazy.
She's not absorbing her food. She was trying to eat and her system would not take the food in. And what I was dealing with was massive spasms of pain. I was trying to comfort her in. And I was trying to, give her healing because of my healing background, because no one else was doing anything else. And I wrote to the MP in Croydon, Steve Reed at that time. And as soon as that happened, we got a phone call from the hospital saying, oh, what do you want from us?
Wow.
I was like, what do we want from you? You're supposed to be offering help to us. Ambulance came. I took my mum in the ambulance. My mum was so nervous. She did not want to leave. I think all my mum's trauma was coming up as well at the same time, her insecurities. So she went in and the care that she was given was very negligent. And I tried to flag everything up from day one. My mum even signed the complaint form. Long story short, she was given a certain medication that was supposed to help her sleep and get hungry to eat food. But instead she had hallucinations and delusions. She started saying things that didn't make sense. although I told the doctors, they seemed to not take notice of it. And then there were various tests to be done with my mum. And I think what the doctor said, we were in some gastric ward at that time. And the doctor said, "Oh, we don't want your mum to get COVID. There's COVID in the next ward." And I was like, "She's not fit to go home. You can't send her home like this. She's behaving in really strange ways." And my last birthday, when she was alive, I made my birthday cake and took it to hospital so that we could take. My mum used to cook, make my cakes. She was a really good cake maker. And she said stuff like, "Have you got permission? You can bring this cake here. They're going to call the police on you. They're going to take you and your brother away." And so all these kind of behaviors which were not sane,
Out of character.
out of character. So to me, she'd had a psychosis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And anyway, the psychiatrist who was looking after her or liaising with her, I sent her an email. I called her. "Please don't send her." "Oh, it's okay. The psyche team will come tomorrow and support you." No one came. And the next day, she basically jumped out of the first floor bedroom window, and she was lying on the concrete, bleeding from her head. And we saw all of us saw this. It was very traumatic.
Gosh.
And then the services came, the helicopter came, and emergency. And she said she had surgery at St. George's, and luckily, all her bones, and they managed to save her. But there was a prolonged impact from whatever she'd experienced mentally, from whatever was given to her. She was never right after that. And there was an episode every now and again that she would experience in her, I would see as well. But nobody was really diagnosing her with anything.
It was like they were even trying.
They weren't even trying, although they were trying to keep contact with us. After she came out of St. George's trauma unit, she came home, and what they said to us in so many words was, "If you don't take this medication now," which was an antipsychotic, to reverse the psychosis, literally she'd get sectioned. So we were told that if your mum doesn't take this, we're going to take her away. We would rather that you take this and you stay in the comfort of your own home and you have your family around you. So we became her carers. I became her carer. I started taking her to hospital appointments. And the first time in my life, I actually felt useful for my mum. I felt I was doing something for her, everything she's done for me.
Yeah, you were giving her, taking care of her.
And I was taking care of her, and I was being that, not in an arrogant way, but
No,
I was a proud son.
Yeah.
I was blessed to be able to do this for my mum.
Yeah.
And the people we'd meet on our journeys to the hospital in transport, we met so many members of the NHS staff who were telling us
This isn't right.
what we're seeing going on is not right. And I said, "See, Mum, I'm not making this up." And my mum started smiling, and she said, "I've got to deal with the karma I've created for myself." She was very wise. My mum was a very psychic woman. I've taken from my mum's side of the family in terms of psychic abilities, awareness. My grandma was a healer, and also from my dad's side. So, but going on from that, the last drug was my mum. She was taken away. So what happened is, after my mum passed, the second time this happened, when she jumped, I was away from the home and she didn't survive. So that was August 2023, after which my journey into formal recovery started. So that rock bottom that you asked me about,
That was it.
when I started a diploma in level 2 counselling, so much stuff got brought up that I used substances the most I'd ever used in 11 years. So from October 23 to May 24, I was using crystal meth, but I even started trying cocaine, which I don't use. And one day I remember the last time this happened, I was like, I used to walk for miles after using meth. I used to walk miles and miles. I ended up in South London countryside.
Why the walking?
So one of my behaviors is I like to walk. I'm a very active person. I don't know if that's related to my autism, to self-regulate. But after I would get locked out or shut out or told to leave someone's house. So this was another thing. I'd make arrangements to meet somebody through an app, but because they were using and they were in a certain state of mind, the amount of people I've looked after who have been so drugged up, I know I was taking drugs, but I had a certain level of awareness where I still knew what was going on around me. I was told to leave. So I'd turn up somewhere and they say, you got to go now. I'm like, what? I said, you've made me like take this, and I've like taken these substances. I don't take these substances if I'm not going to engage in a behavior that I wanted to do to let loose, you know? So a lot of my escapades were a waste. I would never use on my own.
Isn't it interesting that they're all saying leave? It's like, what is in the drugs that makes people say, okay, leave? Like, what?
So, because they're so high, they don't even know what to do. So I'll tell you about the chemsex gay world. It's very underground, but it's so widespread.
I mean, I've never heard of it. It's okay.
So
sorry.
Yeah.
What timing wise? What we doing?
Okay.
Oh, let's do another 10 minutes. It's
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Yeah, your podcast was about to run out.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do part 2, trust me.
Oh, we can.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. This you've got a lot to say, so you can come back.
Oh, okay, cool.
Tell me about the chemsex.
Yeah.
Keep coming back.
We get our chakras cleared.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because there's topics, there's things you know what I mean. Like I'm intrigued, but yeah, Karen, and I'm done. Go for
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happened. I remember I was so off my face, and I didn't realize I was off my face to the point where I went for healing the next day. And that's what did it to me. I think I realized the person that gave me healing is also like, I met her through the spiritual community, and she was a very good colleague and friend of mine. That's when the penny dropped. She says, do you know how it feels like seeing somebody who's your friend commit slow suicide? And I didn't even know that I was doing that.
But that landed with you.
That landed with me. Because I just looked at it as a bit of fun.
Oh, that's interesting.
I never looked at it as an addiction. I looked at it as every now and again, because of everything that's happened to me, I'm just letting loose. And then I won't have to use again for another 3 or 4 months. But because
because you could, I guess, because you could go 3 or 4 months in your head, thinking that's not that. The definition. This is not what I think when I think of an addiction.
Yeah.
Addiction is every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because of my discrimination, the sexuality, the initial addiction I had was sex addiction. Because of love addiction. Because I craved love, didn't get the love that way I needed. Turned into a sex addiction after puberty because I thought that's how I had to perform to be accepted in the gay community, which then turned into substance use, which was every few months. But because it escalated after mum's death, because I had nothing, I'd lost the person who was my primary support. And who else is going to understand me the way she did? I went to an organization that does relapse prevention workshops.
So you recognized that you needed external
I
support.
recognized I needed help, and I got myself into rehab. And I entered rehab. I left home basically. So that's the first time I've left home to accept that I need my own life. In July 2024, and
we're coming up to 2 years.
And that's it. Coming up to 2 years.
So for you in that moment, what would you say your breakthrough was, or maybe not even that moment, just everything that you've been through? What would you, if you could pinpoint one thing as your breakthrough? What's your breakthrough?
To live for myself, be me, and not be shy of. And that's why I'm so ready to speak now, because I think these voices need to be heard so that other people can speak up.
Yeah,
they can speak out, and we need these circles of self-empowerment and sharing, because I think still I see, even in the recovery environments, there's still a lot of holding back. And I think people, until we are not really open and honest and willing with ourselves to be able to communicate this without feeling any guilt or shame, fear or shyness, we are not going to heal. And that's where I think all these cross-cultural taboos, stigmas, controversial subjects, also religion needs to be spoken about, industries need to be spoken about. I mean, why do they call it the medical industry? Big pharma, it's an industry. I'm not saying medicine doesn't help. It does help, but is it being used in the right way?
Yeah.
And that's something that people can think about.
Well, Ameet, it's been lovely having you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been so insightful. I've had so many gems.
Very insightful.
We definitely have to have you back.
There's two.
Especially for the more spiritual side. I would love to hear more about that.
Same here, actually. Right up my street.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have been Lou.
And I've been Miss C. And you have been?
Ameet.
Right.
Pleased to meet you.
Right. And you've been watching Breakthrough. We'll see you again soon.
Peace.